Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, good evening. I'm your host, Adam Steele, and this is Hop Pole Studios, and tonight we are going to be carrying on mixing the SkyeAsylum album. This is live, so any questions you have, feel free to get them in there. If I click that button at the bottom left here, you'll see any messages that you guys ask in the chat. Let's roll the intro, and then we will look at where we got to last week. Roll. All right, so last week we got to this point. So this is the second song that I'm mixing on this album. It's kind of epic metal, and there's a lot going on here. This is hello, Al in chat. Welcome everybody as you all file in. Phone test, good stuff. Hello, Danny. So yeah, this is the instruments. The blue is the drums, then we get down to bass, guitar, etc. And by the end of the last session, we had pretty much got a rough idea of getting all these vocals in. This is from track, including the folders, from track 57 to track 90, so that's 30 something tracks of vocals only on top of this metal kind of ballad. Now I'm going to mute all the vocals just for a minute, because there were a couple of things that were a little bit odd on the last stream, but I was getting a little burnt out by the end of it. And so the first thing that I noticed before we even press play was that the kick drum was way too loud, but it turned out that it was mostly because Stephen Slake's trigger 2, which is on the kick, was being hit far too hard by the thingy dingy. That's a real word. By the signal from the trigger. That looks like a really quiet trigger, and technically it is. But if we look at the previous song, the Arcane, that is how loud our trigger was, and that's it, which is very, very small indeed. So I may even take this down just a little to make it look similar and see what that does, because it was double triggering everything. And let's see who's saying what on the stream. Is that, oh, it's just Marty doing a usual thing. Yay. Right. So that's distracted me a little bit. The kick was sending way too much, and then the kick room, which is a separate sample that's actually from the Black album, you should be able to hear that, was also being massively over triggered, so I'd turn that down. I might be able to turn the send to that back up now, but let's listen to this now with the fixed kick drum. Hello in chat, everybody come in, make yourselves welcome. Now that the kick's at the right level, all the stuff that we did turning down the high end and the low end of the kick on this SSL to try and match it, we can put back, and suddenly our low end and our high end will kick a bit more. Yeah, and now that is a nice tasty sound. The other thing that I noticed is that with this being a much slower song, I wasn't particularly happy with the snare on this track. With really slow songs, for me, need lots of depth on a snare, that kind of thing. Not necessarily the kind of, what's the word? Not necessarily the overblown trigger-only kind of cliche that you get on a lot of modern tracks. Excuse me while I drink this lovely beer. And so I had an extra set of trigger, which I was playing around before the stream. I had that on from the raised heavy snare from the Billy Decker drum shots, but I also just added a little bit of the David Bendeth, Vinnie Paul, which together, those three together make the whole thing sound a bit more, there we go, bit bigger, which underneath the rest of the snare actually doesn't sound silly. On its own, that sounds silly, but there we go. So we can still hear the original snare doing all the little ghost notes there, but when it smacks, it really smacks. Now that's starting to sound a lot more like I was expecting it to sound. Now, beyond that, I still think the overheads sound really quiet on this, so I'm just going to check them, the overheads in the rooms, and I'm checking them. I've got two tabs open at the top. I've actually got the old project from the first song, The Arcane, open here, and I'm just going to check the overheads on this one. Right, so these in the rooms are coming in at -20 and -26 respectively. It looks like there's a lot of automation I've done here on the overheads to bring them up and bring them down. So I will just, as a matter of course, bring the overheads up, I think, to begin with, and then only dip them down as I need them. And then let's check these levels. Yeah, I think with this being a slower song, I'm probably going to want to add more top end on the overheads, not the room mics, just on the overheads, just to give them a bit more crispness. And that's probably all I need to do for now. So it's a shelf from, let's say, 10k upwards, just adding that. Just let's listen to the difference here. And in the mix, importantly, very importantly. That's sounding better to my ears. Now, the next thing that I noticed is this section, the bass is far too clanky, whereas in the other sections it's not. In that section, the bass sits nicely, but in the other section, the cleaner sections, the bass is a bit... Well, firstly, let's clean this up so that there's no horrible overlay of two bass parts there. Oh, excuse me. We were, for the clank on the bass, I was using a plugin called Mammoth. And again, I did a little digging around before the stream, and the button for brute really brings out a lot of the aggression. Listen to this section when I turn the brute off. You'll hear all the top end just kind of settle down and sit in the mix. There we go. It's a fairly subtle difference, but instead of the grind jumping out of the mix, it's still there, but it's not kind of like, listen to me, which for these sections is definitely what I want. I want the bass to sit back. So the track E bass, which is actually a separate send from the original track, which is why there's no audio on it. It's just a pre-effect send from the actual bass track. So on this channel, I need to open up the automation. There's Mammoth and Brute on and off. I've just clicked that, and that will give me a nice line here where I can turn Brute on and off, as it says. So if I open up Mammoth, I have a bit further down, you can see that's now turned off. Now, I do like the Brute setting when the heavy guitars are going, because it makes the bass hold its own. Not necessarily stand out, but it can then fight with a group of roaring guitars. So there we go. And you'll hopefully see what I'm doing in just a second. There we go. I'm using a different mouse this week. Can you tell I'm sliding around a little bit? There we go. So there's now an automation line here where that Brute button now automatically turns itself on and off at the right points. Watch the red on this Brute when I hit play now. There we go. So now there's something in the upper mid that's no longer fighting us on the vocals in the quiet sections. The kick isn't overbearing on the other sections, which also means our perception will massively change. I bet now that the vocals overall, when I unmute them, will be way too loud overall, because we were trying to compete with that kick drum that was unintentionally blasting us. And ooh, good stuff. On a separate note, Mishvald, the band whose album I was producing, have just released the Punk Rock in Summer video. Liam says, tunes! Yes. Well, I'm going to play the song for everybody now as it stands. There will definitely be too much vocal overall, but that's what we're going to try and refine now in this next hour. So here we go. Right, hang on. There's automation all over the show on this group. I'm just going to clear that, and I'm just going to have the vocal group just 0 dB. Let's try that again. Because if there's any vocal lines here that are too loud or too quiet, I'm going to automate them all individually.
Quick escape. The sight has no sound to show the way. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul. And I just feel as the fire burns inside to make this very real. There's no better way. skies were so gray. The hero is left to show the way. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul.
So I think we're 85% of the way there. Like I said, by the end, the vocals are just dominating everything. That's the kind of part we're going to refine today. And also the overall heavy guitar sound, which I think I might look at before that. I might do that now, just because the heavy guitar sound, for me, doesn't really mesh with the vocals we have. So I may have made the mistake by running the Road King, but maybe not. Maybe it just needs some EQ work. I can see why Devin Townsend struggles with mixing big, heavy songs, because there is a lot that goes on in a song like this. Now, one thing that I did try earlier, which is always a good exercise to do, is play the mix back, especially something like the chorus, with the heavy guitars turned off. And you'll suddenly go, oh, that's how the mix sounds without that one element, because it swallows up the sound. If I turn the heavy guitars off in this section here, and back on, yeah, so what's happened there is, for this song, I have made those guitars too bright. Now, that's okay. That's where we step in and we fix it. So there's a lot going on this track. First thing I'm going to do is take off a lot of these plugins. I'm going to leave on the EQ because it's got a couple of points. No, in fact, I'm going to take that off as well. And we're just going to listen to what that sounds really pretty cool, actually. But I want to change the entire setup. Sorry, that noise is my phone. If you could hear that, sat near to the ID 14. My bad. This sound is just too... The amp head sounds right, but the cabinet on the rhythm guitars has got too much top end. So let's start with just the ribbon on the Big Beast. I'm going to switch this cab out entirely for something that I know is a thicker sound. Where are you? The Tall Beast, Redback. Now that's quite rumbly right now. I'm going to also add in a different mic, same cab. So that would be the Tall Beast Red, which is it's a custom 4x12 that I had made by Zilla Cabs, which is a front-loaded vertical 412. It's a bit of a weird one, but... There we go. I think I might turn the volume on the ribbons down a little bit. We don't need that much low-end rumble going on. Yeah, that sounds really good. So I'm going to use the this re-EQ here, and I'm going to use... I'm just going to find these horrible points. That was quite a specific one. And let's take the low end out from here as well with a low cut. Quite a specific low cut. Yeah, that sounds massive. Much more massive than before. Let's see what the tape machine does to it. Yep, now True Iron might not work on this song. No, that sounds great. And then the Lindell 80 channel is where I think I was making the mistake, because the previous amp that we had it was really dark and needed a high boost on the Arcane song, whereas this one probably doesn't. There we go. Alt and click will just reset something for you, and then I can just put that back, take off the filter. Now let's try that thick sound in the mix. There we go. That's sounding pretty good now. It's a bit too chunky in the low mid. So let's use this re-EQ to find that honk. That's sounding pretty good now. Let's turn it down a little. It's a bit too loud, I think. Yeah, I can take a little bit of that 700-ish hertz out as well. Do it there. I'll just do more in the neve, so I'm not doubling up on EQ bands. Yeah, that is huge. So there's a lot of spare guitar channels here by the look of it from the previous song. So they can all go. Yeah, bye-bye. And this... Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm just going to add a bit of top end to these things because they're features. They're separate. They want to stand out. Yeah, maybe a bit much, but we can play with that. Let's take a bit of 4K out, because screw 4K. There we go. I'm taking a little bit out with this shelf at the bottom as well, just to clear out the low end. But the overall tone from changing those mics on the guitars to ribbons has really made a difference. Ribbons and condensers, no dynamics, no mid peaks. We don't need them. And because that's not got the high mid peak that we had before, I'll bet when I turn the vocals back on that they just dominate now.
Take my soul and just feel as the fire burns inside to make this very real. There's no better way for me to say when the ocean shines to rain every single day.
Right, so I'm going to take the tape machine off the vocal group because I don't want to saturate it too hard, actually. And there's a weird voicing transformer on there, which I'm going to take off from True Iron. Just back it off. Just clean the group up, the vocal group. Fresh air is really helping to bring out the top end on all the vocals, but it might be too much. And Soothe is just our last guardian, so I don't want to be triggering Soothe with the vocals if I can help it. So let's hit save now and go back and start from the start. Let's listen to this this little vocal bit from Alexa here, because this is my first clue that I think her main vocals have too much low mid in them. Yeah, so already I can hear a but not a nice. So this is already at 400 hertz. Let's scoop loads of that out, boost more high end on this vocal to compensate, make it sound brighter, and hit play. What does fresh air actually do? Seems like a high shelf EQ. It's not. It sounds kind of like it, but fresh air is a really weird thing where it's kind of like an expander, but in parallel, but only really based on the top end. It means that the more volume you give it, the more it boosts the high end completely dynamically, which means that if you back off, you don't get a super brightness, whereas a high shelf EQ is just bright all the time. So it's a very different thing. Let's say you got an acoustic guitar and did some really sharp picking. the zing on the picks would peak out because of fresh air. But if you just use the high shelf EQ, all the time you would have that high end in there. And it's a very subtly different thing, but it's a very clever little polish. It was a trick that was stumbled upon in the late 70s, early 80s, where Dolby noise reduction would actually change the EQ going onto tape, and then another unit would pull it back off the tape with less noise. And they accidentally found that if you ran stuff like vocals through the kind of the machine that spits it back out without it having the noise reduction, it suddenly sounded really bright and really like, whoa. And if you mixed a little bit of that back in with the original vocal, it just sounded wonderful. So yeah, that was a very clever trick, and that's what Fresh Air is copying. So let's go from the start on this. This was a really nice vocal line, but if I bring up my mixer, I want to absolutely slather this in come on, brain. Delay. And this doesn't need to be in a folder either. I'm going to save myself a track, and I'm just going to hit snap and move all this up, because a lot of the vocals here are folded for no good. Well, a lot of them are folded for good reason, but just not this particular one. That is Alexa Versus. Now, that should sound the same. Now I'm going to copy this delay send on the mixer, because a lot of these have got delay sends separately. Yeah, so now what I can do is I can show the delay send volume, and for this one line I can absolutely go crazy. Just because it's I feel like this should be a little lower down, actually, not like a main vocal, but it should float through the delay. Why is that not really loud? Yeah, the studio tape is nice. It needs to be actually louder. Okay. Maybe a bit of sustained delay of that section of vocals. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. That's why I'm automating this up. Scott. Hi, Scott. Scott asks, how do you find the repeater plugin in the Slate bundle? It's separate. You have to go to their website, to their installers page. Yeah, the Slate digital installers. If you Google exactly that, then you'll find yourself on a page that's got all the downloads. Ah, tasty. The beard game, yes. That's what happens when you don't shave from the entire time when you've got to move house to when you've finished. I'm going to turn off this prime numbers thing. I think that's what's poking the mids on this. A little hard. And turn down saturation. Yeah, that's got it. That's taken the mid honk away. how do I like it? Oh, personally, I don't like it, actually. Repeater is the biggest letdown in the Slate bundle for me. It just doesn't work with my workflow. I don't really like it. It's not bad. It just doesn't jive for me, I guess. Pancake Mix says, have you been working with Brown on his new studio, or you're letting him get all the exercise? I do need the exercise, and I have been there as often as possible. If anyone's seen the new Riff Hard Studio B, it's all been painted a dark grey, and I did all the ceilings and all the tops of the walls. My arms were aching after that. I've helped there wherever I possibly can, but I've also got, other things to do. So, yeah, unfortunately, I can't be there as much as I would like to. But yeah, I've been there. I've been helping out in amongst moving house and everything else. My wife has a burger waiting for me. Now, there's a Ukrainian euphemism I've not heard before. Wee. Right, now, on to these, because this is where volume automation will probably be all over the place. Let's just start with getting up to here, and I'm going to mute this ad-lib channel for a minute. Right, so this is a single vocal, so let's just start by bumping this whole thing up quite a bit, because it's not backed up by anything, which means that it's effectively quieter than the ones that have doubles. Emotions come fast as I move away. I realize now there's no quick escape. Sight has no sound to show. Right. I'm very much assuming on this verse here that this little throw-in line from Alexa is not really meant to be a main vocal, so that's going to be quite quiet. This is what I consider to be John's verse, so the volume balance is very much that he's going to be higher, and then when we get to this pre-chorus section, I think that's when we go unity kind of volume. There's no quick escape. The sight has no sound to show the way. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul and just feel as the fire burns. Right. So I'm going to shave half a dB off this whole vocal. I might need to push it a tiny bit over that strings and distorted guitars section. But then I don't need quite as much volume over the verse. Emotions come fast as I move away. I realize now there's no quick escape. Yeah, I'm gonna add in a very long linear fade over those strings just to get them out of the way quicker. Emotions come fast as I move away. I realize now there's no quick escape. The sight has no sound to show the way. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul. Yeah. So I know there are two female vocals that come in here, and those two strike me as quite quiet. So let's play them in. Say so, please come take my soul. And just feel as the fire burns inside to make this feel real. Okay, so let's just pull up the the strip for these two pre-chorus vocals. You know what? I am being a fool to myself here with all this doubling and tripling. Let's just throw virtual mix rack and console in there, so I'm not doubling up. So those two in the group there, that should be easier to deal with. And what I definitely need is this low mid lots less. I really need to. Seek truth in light. I don't know if I've mentioned this before while you've been on stream. This is not a chat direct stream. This is me mixing my own way and showing you how I mix. Believe me, we do not need more kick and snare. If I turn those up, then we can't hear the guitars. I turn the guitars up, we can't hear the bass. I turn the bass up, we can't hear the vocals. I turn the vocals up, we can't hear the kick and snare. You end up in a cycle of violence, which means, if anything, the vocals are probably too loud still. If you can ever help it mixing, don't turn things up. If you can't hear something, it's because something else is masking it. Find the thing that is masking it and either turn it down or find the frequency in the thing that is masking it and dip that offending frequency down. And suddenly you'll find the thing that you thought was too quiet is back where it belonged. So, yes, like I said, no backseat mixing.
So please come take my soul.
There we go. So that now sounds a little bit radio effecty, but that's absolutely fine because I'm just going to take the silkiness down on this. Don't know if I need the big. In fact, I'm just going to take that whole thing off.
So please come take my soul.
And let's see how that fits underneath the main vocal that we have.
Say so, please come take my soul. And just feel as the fire burns inside to make this feel real. There's no better way.
Okay. Should add more cowbell. Now that I'll take as a suggestion. I'm kidding. Let's just have a look at the mix for these John ad-libs. Yeah, so there's no processing on that second one. That's literally just a child track so that I could have overlays. There we go.
There's no better way for me to say. Sunshine to me every single day.
Okay, so let's forget about the chorus for now and just make sure that this section and this section only feels right. I'm gonna sneeze.
Why you say so? Please come take my soul. And just feel as the fire burns inside to make this feel real. There's no better way for me to say when the ocean shines.
Right, I'm gonna sneeze again. I think the stacking of two heavily compressed vocals here is feeling a little bit weird. So what I'm going to do is this ad-lib. Yes, I am pushing a compressor on it quite hard there on the VCA. I'm going to back this off as well. Sneeze. Excuse me. Sneezy today. And I'm also going to take back a little bit of the high-end bump on the backing vocal. Fat melodic solo on this track. Well, when Rob sends it to me, I'll tell you. But yeah. Now that I've taken away some compression and some
high end. This ad-lib track isn't going to feel as loud. I might need to push the output on this LA2A a bit.
So please come take my soul and just feel as the fire burns inside to make this very real. There's no better way for me to say when the ocean shines, fire burns inside to make this very real. There's no better way for me to say when the ocean
There we go. I've actually turned that down going into the pre-chorus, not because I want less of it. Oh, yes. Good point. I do need to find some tissues. I will do that momentarily. But yeah, because there's less compression on this second vocal, it doesn't need it. All the sneezing is because I've got boxes of years old crap behind me and I must have knocked one of them. So I'm still moving in. But yeah, I'm going to play this back from the top now while I go and find some tissues. Be right back.
emotions come fast as I move away. I realize now there's no quick escape. The sight has no sound till we're shown away. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul.
That's sounding really good up to there. So, all the chorus vocals are completely separate. So I'm going to mute them. And I'm going to unmute the backing vocal groups. And we're just going to hear what these do.
Light has no sound till we're shown away. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul. And just feel
Let's just see what's that.
so. And just feel as the flown away.
What have I done with the... Oh, I've just scooped the absolute living hell out of these. I don't think it needed that, but looks like that was what I was going for at the time. So let's just go with the good old do that to fix one, then copy and paste over. And make sure these are actually equally panned, because that was... Oh, less of the Jesus talk in my chat, please. We're not here for religion, we're here for music, thanks.
Away. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul. And just feel as the fire down till we're shown away. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul. Say
probably just going to bump this up a little bit because that's supposed to be like the star vocal at the end of the chorus. I'm going to come back to the chorus in a minute.
You're my everything. Forgotten past down comes today. I realize now why the skies were so gray. The hero is left to show the way. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my.
Yep, sorry, had to get the timeout hammer out there. It's not a ban, it's just a timeout. I welcome people from all backgrounds here. All are welcome, but we don't tend to discuss things like religion or politics in the chat because that's not what we're here for. And as much as you may believe that whatever you believe in any circumstance is right or wrong, if you start going on about that in my chat, you may be making someone else feel unwelcome, and that is not what we are about. So when we say no politics or religion, if you start putting scripture in my chat, that's hammer time. So yes, if you are religiously inclined, fine by me, you are welcome, but just that's not what we're here for. So okay. Oh yeah, Danny. Why is Danny not a moderator? He is now. Whoa. Right, so let's get back to the start of this verse. This is the duet verse. So this is where it becomes interesting because we have to have Alexa's vocal that was down here, probably significantly louder.
Forgotten past down comes today. I realize now why the skies were so gray. The hero is left to show the way. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul. I realize now.
There we go. So I'm bringing up Alexa's I realize now line.
I realize now why you say.
Let's see what happens if I just push her vocal throughout the whole verse just to make her more of a feature.
Forgotten past down comes today. I realize now why the skies were so gray. The hero is left to show the way. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul. And just feel as the fire burns inside to make this very real.
There we go. Yes, so I only boosted one particular point here. So let's see. Because at this particular point, it feels like we don't need much more of her because she cuts quite well. But we'll play with it.
Forgotten past down comes today. I realize now why the skies were so gray. The hero is left to show the way. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul. And just feel. Why you say so. Please come take my soul. And just feel as.
Whoa. Why's that got tons of delay on it?
Why you say so. Please come
Right, okay, so the delays are in the wrong places.
Why you say so? Please come take my soul and just feel.
Yeah, I'm taking too much low end out of these vocals. Oh, yeah, I'm radio affecting these.
Why you say so? Please come take my soul and just feel as the.
What's the attack supposed to be like on an LA2A style? Slow, very slow. An LA2A is an optical compressor, which means there's literally a light inside it, which as it gets brighter, it compresses more. So if you ever got a really old school light bulb and actually looked at it as you turn it on and off, you'll see it takes a little while to get bright or a little while to dim down. It is literally that is how much compression you get. So that's why there's no control on it, because you can't really control a light bulb. You can turn it on or you can turn it off. And in the middle of an LA2A, you actually send sound to it to turn it on, which is weird, but that's how they work. 1960s, everybody. That's, yeah. Also used Reaper the last few months. I've noticed to get crackling when I use Slate VBC. Any recommendations? Stop using VBC. Get a better computer, get a better interface, freeze tracks. If you're using VBC across your master bus, it could be that that is then causing your computer to panic because you're now having to process every separate track and then process again through the master chain before it goes out. That's why I've had to spend far too much money on a really powerful computer to be able to do this on stream, because if I didn't, it would have a meltdown. And that's not just Reaper, that's any DAW. That's how they have to work. So yeah, okay. Been wrenched by the king, yes. Okay.
Why you say so? Please come take my soul.
Let's just listen to the volume of that on verse 1 now. I've changed that.
Why you say so? Please come take my soul.
Yeah, so that needs to come down a bit just because there's more low end in it. We don't want to dominate.
Why you say so? Please come take my soul.
Right, so we do still need a bit less of that low mid, but not using the filter.
So please come take my soul.
There we go. By slamming this low mid control instead of the filter, we've still got some low end, so it doesn't sound like it's through a radio.
So please come take my soul. Say so, please come take my soul.
Right, just those lower notes need to go down. I need to take snap off for this, get quite specific, because those lower notes with not a lot else going on suddenly dominate. And then straight away I need to push her.
Why you say so? Please come take my my soul and just feel. Why you say so? Please come take my soul and just feel.
I'm just gonna push John's first vocal on that section there.
Why you say so? Please come take my soul and just feel as the fire burns inside to make this very real. There's no better way for me to say, for me to say. For me to say.
Ah, there's a little bit of harmony there that's only on that track. Interesting.
For me to say. For me to say.
Right, I'm gonna do something a bit drastic. I'm gonna turn off the effects on that one, mute it, bin it, which I know sounds extreme. And I'm just quickly going to move these up. And have these two on this pre-chorus. Because these I can just... Then I've got 3 less tracks to worry about. I can hammer the vocal level here. If I really want to.
For me to say.
I'm still getting used to this new mouse. It's like having different fingers. But yeah, it's a mouse I've had since the early 2000s, but I just discovered it in a box. But it's got Microsoft Blue Track in it, which is really cool.
For me to say. For me to say.
Cool, and I'm going to just start dipping that down before Alexa's even finished. So that it's not really masking the chorus when it hits, which it will do momentarily. And let's just listen to this here. And I'm just... Yeah, again... This is where we get into detail stuff. She goes on longer than John does, so now she doesn't, and hopefully that sounds good as an edit.
For me to say.
There we go. Not a fan of trackballs. Not really. I've had every trackball you can, I've had the weird ones, I've had the Kensington ones. They just give me massive RSI. I know. I had every trackball and got nothing but wrist pain. So they went out the window and I went back to the classic mouse. I've been using mice since about 1989. They're just a part of me. Trackballs just... You see them in studio, so I use them because other studio guys use them. And then I realised that for a select few people, sure, but most people are just being sheep.
Why you say so? Please come take my soul and just feel as the fire burns inside to make this very real.
I think I want a tiny bit more Alexa here.
And just feel as the fire burns inside to make this very real. There's no better way for me to say. Just take it all away.
I'm just going to bring this up so it blasts.
Just take it all away. You can take it.
I'm going to go back before I even touch the choruses because we've already got at the end of verse 2 to the point where we're far too loud. Right, this is where hopefully I can pull a trick out the bag by doing something I don't usually do, which is using the SSL bus compressor on the vocal group. Now at 4-1, hopefully I can just tickle the vocals so that when they blast, they just, especially because there's multiple of them, they just pull a little bit in.
There's no sound to show the way. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul. And just feel as the fire burns inside to make this feel real. There's no better way for me to say.
Yes, that's got it, because then the vocals feel big, they feel powerful, they don't overwhelm the instruments. They sit on top of the instruments just, but they don't start absolutely killing it. So let's go back to the top and listen. Doo-doo.
Emotions come fast as I move away. I realize now there's no quick escape. The sight has no sound to show the way. Emotions come fast as I move away. I realize now there's no quick escape. The sight has no sound to show the way. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul. And just feel as the fire burns inside to make this feel real. There's no better way for me to say. There's no better way to make this feel real. There's no better way for me to say.
Yeah, we're really starting to nail the verse now. That extra bus compressor on the vocals, it's barely doing anything. When it does do something, it just tickles. And that's what we want.
Forgotten plans that comes today. I realize now why the skies were so gray. The hero is left to show the way. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul. And just feel as the fire burns inside.
This still gets a bit loud, but we're much closer in the ballpark now.
Realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul and just feel as the fire burns inside to make this very real. There's no better way for me to say, for me to say.
Let's just check that. Yeah, Alexa's timing is just a little more laid back than John's is, and I can hear a for me to say. It's subtle, but I want this to hit. I want this to really hit you. Bingo. And I'm just gonna shave off the F's on Alexa's because she's got quite a lot more of a strident vocal sound.
For me to say, for me to say,
And also just tame John's ones.
for me to say, for me to say.
What a complete wally. I've just realised that all the vocal automation I was doing earlier on these meant nothing because I was actually automating the vocal below it, which had nothing on it. What a complete and utter idiot. In that case, I can probably bring the main vocal down on the ad-lib by a good couple of dB because what I really wanted was to push the screams further up with that micro shift effect on to make it sound huge in the middle 8. What? Yeah, we need more on the toms. Let's widen that up a bit. There we go. We needed more on the toms, and let's get a bit more low end in this track. There we go. Sorry, the chug chugs on the guitar was so overbearing there that I just played around with the filter, the high pass filter, just so it just took enough out that it still felt big but didn't just dominate. More 80s plate tom reverb. You know what? For this particular track, you might be right. And you see, Scott asked nicely. He said, please. Now we've got the real challenge to come of making these sound bigger than the stuff with the things. Come on, brain. You can do this. Bigger than the pre-chorus. All right, here we go. Well, let's start with the John vocal. Right, so they're not radio affected. They're kind of not radio affected, but they still kind of are. Could probably have done with an overall group thing for the low mids. I might still do that actually. Just yeah, you know what? I will. Now is the time to change everything on the backing vocals before I bring in more main vocals. I'm going to try something that I've not tried, which is, did I do this on, yeah, there we go. Purple Audio's MC77. It's like an 1176, but chunkier.
When the ocean shout out to me every single day, the scene that never fades away. Is this all meant to be? A world that is dark with no way to see.
Yep. Yep. Let's just zip that across 6 different backing vocals and then do all my EQs on the group. So really taking out the low mid here and taking out a lot of the bottom.
When the ocean shout out to me every single day, the scene that never fades away. Is this all meant to be? A world that is dark with no way to see.
Yeah. So the MC77 is like an 1176. I thought I'd play around with this because it's in the Plugin Alliance bundle, and hey, it's doing what I want it to do. Let's just have a look at the CPU usage. So those are using less than 1% of the processor each. 32 samples of latency I can live with. Let's just go back to here and hear how this sounds. That needs to come way down.
I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul. And just feel as the fire burns me to say. When the ocean shout out to me every single day, see that never fades away. This is all meant to be. A world that is dark with no way to see. In every single breath I feel, you're my everything. When the ocean shout out to me every single day, see that never fades away. This is all meant to be. A world that is dark, no way to see. In every single breath I feel, you're my everything.
Okay. Oh, I'm sure Rabir will be fine on his skateboard. He's not daft. He's not going to go crazy. He says.
When the
One voice. Go on, go on, go on. Okay, let's listen to these ones now in isolation, just check that they're okay, because by the end of the last stream I was quite burnt out, so let's just make sure these are right.
When the ocean shout out to me every single day, the scene that never fades away. Is this all meant to be? A world that's dark with no way to see. And every single breath I feel, you're my everything.
There we go. Didn't need separate DSs on all of these because Soothe is taking care of a lot of that. Doesn't sound unreasonable on its own, so let's try it in the balance. It's probably going to be quiet, but I've got my automation ready. Right, so that's taking bits out. No thanks. Let's not do that, eh? Undo a lot of the compression on these just to make this triple track of Alexa breathe. This is starting to sound quite nice now. I am going to push the saturation on the Alexa group. That should make it stick out a bit more. Brilliant. Well, let's put a bit of low mid back in the middle Alexa vocal. And yeah, we'll try that with that. When the ocean shines to me every single day, the scene that never fades away. It's just all meant to be. A world that is dark with no way to see. In every single breath I feel, you're my everything. When the ocean shines to me
forgotten past that comes today. I realize now why the skies were so gray. The hero when the ocean shout out to me every single day. A scene that never fades away. It's just all meant to be.
It's all meant to be. Let's just examine why the backing vocal group sounds like a box.
When the ocean shout out to me every single day. The scene that never fades away. Is this all meant to be? A world that is dark.
Ooh, good question from Scott. Right, so there was a 3 to 4K peak in the backing vocals that had to go, which means I can now have more backing vocals. Scott asks, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being all the time, how many times do you try to fall asleep at night with the chorus of a song going through your head while you mentally mix it? Used to be about a 9. Now it's more like a 2, and not because I'm not into the mixing. I live for the mixing, but it got to a point where I had to find a way to clear my mind before sleep. So I kind of have a little system now where just before I sleep, I can just take all the thoughts that are in my head and just take them out and just put them to the side. Essentially put them on the bedside table, and I sleep. And it's actually really good for your health. It's really good for the soul to be able to do that. In the morning, I wake up, I get going. Whatever the problems were from last night, I can then deal with. But but I do start to hum and whistle choruses and hooks around the house. If I've been working with John Brown, if there's anything he's played me that's really catchy, he'll really get annoyed an hour later when I start whistling it. Hooks from choruses stick in my head.
When the ocean shout out to me every single day. The scene that never fades away. It's a song.
Please share that system. I mean, it's based on a few things that I read, including one that had a really odd title called The Psychopath's Bible, which was actually quite a good read, but not, it didn't make you a psychopath. But just reading about stuff about meditation definitely helps.
When the ocean shout out to me every single day. The scene that never fades away. It's just all meant to be. A world that is dark with no way to see. Until we show the way, I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul. When all the way. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul.
It's funny you should say about box breathing. I do that when I'm running. I don't associate that with mental health. That's very much a physical thing for me. There we go. And you can see that because there are overlapping vocals, I've just automated one to just poke above the others so we can hear what the hell he's singing while the other notes go on, and that bus compressor will just manage the level for me overall. It's as if someone's like pushing to the front of the crowd and pushing everybody else back.
And so please come take my soul. And just feel as the fire burns inside. Come take my soul. And just feel as the fire burns inside. To make this
Right, that soul is just resonating and killing everything.
come take my soul. And just feel as the fire burns inside. Come take my soul. And just feel as the fire.
That definitely needs to be lower down.
Come take my soul. And just feel as the fire. Come take my soul. And just feel. Come take my soul. And just feel. Come take my soul. And just feel as the fire burns inside. To make this very real, there's no better way for me to say. When the ocean shout out to me every single day, the scene that never fades away. It's a song meant to be. A world that is dark with no way to see.
That sounds like the lower vocals are helping to dominate everything.
Every single day, the scene that never fades away. It's a song meant to be. A world that is dark with no way to see. In every single breath I feel, you're my everyday. The sky's full, even if we take it all away.
Right. I kind of want to give Alexa the priority on the lines here, just because then John's got these screaming bits that really counterpoint it. So if I give her the priority, then he screams, then she has priority. There should be a bit more back and forth here, but let's see. What have we got?
Even if the sky does fall, even if they take it all away.
Yeah, let's take microshift off that and just stick it on the entire group, just to give it even bigger, bigly bigness. To use a phrase from a particular orange turnip, and take the DS's off and take the brightness off.
Even if the sky does fall, even if they take it all away.
And really scoop those low mids like a melon. Just out you go.
Even if the sky does fall, even if they take it all away.
Let's take these extra Slate console EQs out. I don't think they're helping.
Even if the sky does fall, even if they take it all away.
And that might be all I want on here. Let's have a listen. Just turn it up. Yeah, his timing doesn't match hers, so I really want to drop him down on this bit and just so he's there in spirit, but he's not fighting. But then his screaming parts, that's his moment in the sun. There we go. Nice big fade on her vocal, so it doesn't just go because the heavy compression means it actually gets louder, not quieter perceptively, which is weird.
Forgotten plans that kills today. I realize every single day the sin that never fades away. Every single day the sin that never fades away. It's just so out to me. Are you saying so? Please come take my soul and just feel as the fire burns inside to make this feel real. There's no better way for me to say when the ocean shines to me.
Come on.
There's no better way.
Right, at this point, I am going to just do that with the vocal groups, and I'm just going to push the threshold another dB and take the makeup gain down, and same with the other vocals, because everything's just a little too loud now, and hopefully this will fix it. Let's find out. I'm going to play the track from the start and see if anything jumps out at us. Now I've turned the vocals down a little. It's not so because I want less vocal, it's because I want more track. But perceptively, it'll come across as more track. So let's try that now.
Emotions come fast as I move away. I realize now there's no quick escape. The sight has no sound to show the way. I realize now you say so. Please come take my soul. And just feel as the fire burns inside to make this feel real. There's no better way for me to say. When the ocean shout out to me every single day, the sin that never fades away. This is all meant to be. A world that is dark with no way to see. In every single breath I feel, you're my everything. Forgotten that.
Right, first thing we're going to do, that sounds not bad. I'm going to take the guitar down by a dB, a whole dB, and then down even further on the pre-chorus. That way, when it hits, it really hits, and hopefully we won't miss it. Why does that look quieter there? No, that's probably why, because I didn't add an extra. Is snap back on? Yeah, snaps back on. I'm just trying to add these tiny points. There we go. Because that way we can go crazy with it. Just add another point so it's down to -7 or something. It'll feel weird at first. The guitar will seem too quiet. But hopefully that'll make sense. And then, yeah, the chug 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 of the guitar should be fine there. And the loudest it's going to get is at the end. Typical guitar dynamics. Let's see how that sounds.
Emotions come fast as I move away. Fast as I move away.
I keep hearing a single snare here that needs a little bit of what I think is a bump. Let's just do that.
Emotions come fast as I move away. I realize now. Emotions come fast as I move away. I realize now there's no quick escape. The sight has no sound till we're shown away. I realize now why you say so. Please come take my soul. And just feel as the fire burns inside.
Yes, as Stefan says in chat, this is a pleasure to work on. This is good stuff. It's when you find yourself air drumming in the middle of your job, and people aren't looking at you like it's weird. Yeah, this is good times for me. And yeah, that has come out absolutely brilliantly. So I'm gonna now render this out, and that's gonna be in that folder. It's got everything mix 1, because we never actually did a mix before this. We are at 44.1k because that's the source material sample rate. I'm going to be answering questions for a few minutes, and this is going to go horribly herky-jerky. So actually what I'm going to do, here's what I'm going to do, because we are live, is I'm going to hit render. That's going to take a couple of minutes. So I'm going to go on a break while we do that. The guitar lick may be more prominent. Maybe we'll see what the guys in SkyeAsylum say, because which guitar lick? There's so many elements to this mix. At this point, I'm happy to send this off for critical evaluation, and I'm very much expecting, can I hear more of this, less of this? That is very much what I call good mix feedback. If those are the kind of notes you're getting, great. So yeah, I'm going to render that. And then when we come back from a break in a couple of minutes, we're going to crack on with the next song on the album. So we've now got 2 pretty much down. Now, render, and I'll see you all back here in a few minutes. Bathroom break, beer break, be right back. Hello everybody, I am back and I've just realised, to my horror, that I didn't turn on the limiter flatline, which, prepare yourselves, this is going to be loud, but I'm just going to check the loudest section, which is the middle 8 near the end, to make sure it doesn't sound horrible. That is brutals. Also, before I hit render again, there is a new version of the black box plugin that I do like, called HG2MS, and I'm going to switch that in. Activation required. Let me just do that off screen. Click to activate. I'm online. Stop showing people my personal details. I'm really trying here. Okay, so let's put this in place of the old one. Like I said, I don't think there's actually much different from a practical perspective. The top one is the old one. The bottom one with all the more controls and dials is the new one. Let's just change everything. So that was at 58. It looks like they've just completely redone it. So there's 43%. I don't even know if this will sound any different. Output 38%. I'm just matching everything now. Saturation in flat saturation. Will this stream be archived? Yes, every stream is archived. As soon as we hit stop, it starts uploading. But yes, we just finished mixing the first song of this stream. This is a series that's on YouTube, by the way. This is part 4. And yeah, we are very quickly about to, after I've done a bit of rendering here, go into rendering out this song and then working on song 3. Let's see how this sounds now with the new version. It should, as far as I'm aware, sound the same, but that is an absolute monster. Now, like I said, I'm going to export this. It's going to get all herky-jerky, but if you want to throw in questions for the next few minutes, this is going to be very slow to render because there's, I mean, look at it. There's 85 active tracks, and then there's a few at the end. That, with all these plugins on, takes its toll a little bit. So here we go. Here comes the... it's going to start overwriting any second. And here comes the herky-jerky. Anyway, yes, I've got myself another beer, which feels a little bit bad. I'm holding a Peroni glass, but it's actually an Amstel. Analog style EQ. That wasn't an EQ. That was a tube and tape saturator plugin. But any questions you've got, feel free to fire away. Sounds cool, but I can't use them because I can't see what's going on. Well, how on earth would you work a mixing desk? How would you work anywhere? This is where the old cliche of use your ears comes in. If you've got a vague idea of what a piece of hardware or a plugin is supposed to be doing, even if it's not a very clearly labeled thing, close your eyes, tweak the thing, and listen for what it does. If I could only get the Slate Digital subscription or the plugin alliance, which would I go for? Oh, they're so different from each other. A year ago, I would have just said Slate. In fact, no, I'm still going to say Slate because there's stuff in there like the Verb Suite Classics, the Lustrous Plates, the Virtual Tape Machine, things like that, as well as the Mix Rack and the bus compressors, which I don't think those tools are in the plugin alliance stuff. But yeah, most expansive live mix, possibly. But yeah, I'm drinking Amstel out of a Peroni glass, so I feel rather bad. Cheers. And yeah, this is set to full speed offline render, as you can see here. This is just so dense a mix that it's coming out at 1 times real time. The computer literally cannot render this any faster. Probably because we're broadcasting by OBS as well. Which is impressive. I've probably got a little bit louder as I've gone on as well, because I'm now just over 1 beer in, which for me is a lot. And it's funny, you would think me an alcoholic, because most streams you do see me with a drink in my hand. But I don't drink apart from when I'm on stream. And so seriously, if you see me with 1 drink for an entire 3 or 4 hour stream, that's probably all I'll have for a week. Or maybe 1 when we do the podcast as well. But these mix streams are kind of like my unwinding time, even though I am doing a professional job and showing you what I'm doing at the same time. It's a bit of a weird one. Am I not bothering with loudness levels yet? Am I worried about overcompressing at this stage, or I'll deal with that later? No, I'm not bothered. The flat line there that's what I do and most mix engineers do for presentation to a client. You want it to be slamming when you present it to them because it feels good. It sounds good. If I take flatline off here without any sort of final stage limiting, we're probably hitting around -12 LUFS without hitting the peaks. I, especially in metal, end up with quite a thick mix, so I don't have to worry really about that, but that's because proper gain staging, proper bit by bit, hello Nick, hello Chris, bit by bit, I end up with a very kind of controlled mix, so I don't need to worry about loudness really. Because I've worried properly about loudness at the appropriate point when doing gain staging, then at the end I have lots of room to play with, but I'm not miles away from the limit either. There we go. That has now finished. So, right, yeah, hello everybody. Favorite in the box vocal chain? Depends what I get sent. I don't have a favorite. I can't play favorites. Also, when broadcasting, throttle everything but the broadcast. That would be getting clever and trying to take over from a program that has its own automatic, like multi-CPU, high-efficiency stuff going on. I've tried stuff like that before, and it makes DAWs not happy. So I'll let that do its own thing. And so, yes, let's now save this project as we carry on and not... there we go. Someone's 30th birthday tomorrow. Chris, who would that be? Whose 30th birthday is that? I mean, I don't know. You tell me. So, yeah, standard procedure for me is clear envelopes, delete everything out of here. There are ways to do this that are more efficient using SWS extensions, but I just like to do this manually because it just gives me peace of mind. Now, I might not even need this many channels, But yeah, this is me making a skeleton, essentially, so that I can just drop the drums and guitars and bass and everything in for the next track. And sometimes what happens is I'll tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak and end up with the last song on an album being quite different to the first song. And then I go back to the first song and I can make creative decisions of reconciling that as to which one should be better. Better being a terrible word, but do I like Nolly's mixing sound? Yes, I do. It's not my mixing sound, that's for sure. I'm only 1 degree of separation away from Adam Getgood. I know a lot of people who know him, and he's very good at what he does. And I do like what he does, but the funny thing is, I don't... How to describe this? I don't feel the need to do what he does. Oh, Decapitator had some automation on there. That's interesting. Let's have a look at the Decapitator's... what is that doing? Oh, that's weird. Okay, well, let's just clear out that envelope. Yeah, he has a very, very clean style of mixing. I like to have a bit more low, mid meat in my mixes, because all the mixes I listen to as a young engineer and even pre-engineer influence my modern style, even though it's not a carbon copy of a vintage like 90s or 2000s mix that I do. And yeah, for me, I like what Nolly does. I feel that it's a little bit clean and clinical compared to what I would do. Doesn't make it bad. Like a lot of Rick Rubin's productions are very dark and very heavily mushy and compressed. I like those as well, but I wouldn't do that either. So yeah, favorite doesn't mean anything in terms of, oh, do I like? Yes, I do like, but yeah, I think I've laboured this point a little bit. Right, on to We Carry On, a drone bass, and a very interesting arrangement here. Oh, this one has a Reaper project. No way. Oh, I'm just being stupid. That's what I've already saved. Boo. Okay. Hello, Harry. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's your solution to creating guitar feedback for a mix? Something I find missing in a lot of modern music. Get an amp. Throw feedback in there. There's no other way to do it, really. Oh, there's Blue Cat's Aku Fiend, which I have. That's a very controlled way that's almost like one of the feedback pedals. But yeah. Oh, Scott coming in with the Rick Rubin jokes there. That's a niche joke if ever I heard one. Oh, there's a track for shots. So there's 2 clean guitars. This is going to be an interesting one. Okay. So for this particular track, I'm taking my drum group, bass group, rhythm group, delete. Yes. Yeah, Blue Cat Aku Fiend is actually really kind of cool. I did a video that was me and Jen Majora from Evanescence while we were in Germany, where she was playing in the studio and getting these feedback notes without actually getting feedback through the speakers. Hello. Hello, John Luca. Welcome, welcome. Everybody settle in. Get yourselves a drink. This is going to be an interesting song, that's for sure. Let's put snap on and just snap to bar 3. Make it bar 5. Engage. Let's have a look. Let's drop the clean guitars in there on separate tracks. And there we go. They look overly loud because if I use the shift and up and down keys, I can actually zoom into the waveforms. So these are too loud, and that's fine. Let's just listen to what we have. Oh, this one is stereo. Let's turn flatline off. I am drinking Amstel in a Peroni glass. But yes, Yanto, hello. We've got quite a few new people tonight. This is good. Welcome, welcome. Might back the drive off there. Yeah, shift up and down zooms in on the waveforms, so you don't have to turn anything up to really see the fine detail. Yeah, it's a really good little trick, that. Let's look at this folder again. Don't need the guitar clean DIs, because those sound quite nice. I can work with those, which means verse guitar we don't need, clean guitar we don't need. So let's just clear out what we don't need. I've got a lot of voices going. Oh, voices. Let's just make a ton of new tracks, and they were supposed to not go in the clean guitar group, but never mind. Stop. All right, stop. Ah, too many. Let's just take them out of that folder. And just drop these in on bar 5. Was that bar 5? Could not import 2 of 19 items. Oh, those already had Reaper peaks in. So the guitar clean and the DIs can go. And those can go too, because I put too many tracks in. I'm drinking Amstel. Yeah. Well, it's cheap. And sometimes cheap is what you need. Plus, I didn't buy them, the missus bought them. And again, sometimes that's just what you need. So, this was unexpected. But yes, epic indeed. Okay, so this is our instrumental now. Right, I get what that nature is trying to do, but it's way too loud for a start. Oh, you all arguing about beers there? Lagers are generally all equally as rubbish as each other. So I'm going to have a little bit of a high-pass filter on this nature thing. And it sounds like more than anything, I just need to scoop out a low mid. There. Yeah. There we go. And the nice SSL compressor just means that it can get louder, but not... Yeah, I can't imagine mixing an acoustic drum kit sober. Well, that's fair. Right, so this now gets louder, but doesn't get crazy louder. And I've taken out up to about 50 something hertz, so we don't get super duper rumble. And I've used a bell of an EQ. Excuse me, I'm hiccuping all of the show. Anything over 190 proof is okay in Poo Ninja's book. Anything over 190 proof, I use to clean like nail polish off and dissolve small children. Right, let's bring the volume of these all down significantly so they all do something a lot closer to what I would expect from gain staging. Hello, Sharon in the chat. We've got a lot of new people tonight. This is good. I like the sound of this drone bass, but it needs a few things. It needs to go to the room for a start, and a little bit of the plate to make it sound big. And let's have a copy of Soothe on here, because there's a couple of yoingy sounds which are nice but just a little much. There we go. Again, I beautiful orange colour, yeah. I don't want to destroy this. Borange is the colour of this. It's somewhere between brown and orange. And it's one of the only words I can think of that rhymes with orange. It's borange. Cheers. But yes, if you want to join us all on the Discord, my mod Marty has just put a link down in the chat. Now, let's use a copy of that black box that we just took off the master, and we're just going to drive this to saturate it somewhat on the lows. Yeah, there's just a couple of frequencies in there that I'm not liking, so I'm going to pull up another SSL 9000 series again before Soothe. There's kind of a low mid honky honk. There. And there we go. Right. Now, that's a good start. I'm going to take a bit of room reverb out of it. What I'm going to do, I think, is build the track up around... I'm going to take the mixer off for a second, and I'm going to put these two tracks at the top, and I'm going to use the old, there's an action called remove auto trim split items, remove silence, and if I hit process, that should just clean all my WAV files up that I've just dropped in. How about that? That also helps that I can... Oh, I've got 3 different subjobs. I can have these come in I can arrange them so that instead of them being arranged how the original artist had them, I can have them in an order where they come in one by one, going down the desk, essentially. Sharon, can you tell me why Pro Tools always shuts down? Not really. Sorry. Not a big fan of Pro Tools, but my first question is, did you pay for it? My second question, if you did pay for it, was what kind of modern spec is the laptop? Because if it's Acer, that means nothing. That's just a brand. They've been around 20 years or more. That's like saying, I've got a BMW. When's it from? 1974. Has it ever been serviced? No. You know, it's like, it doesn't give me much to go on. Also, I'm not, you know, unless I'm sat there with a machine, I can't really diagnose it. And also, I'm the Reaper guy, not the Pro Tools guy. So, there you go. Harry says, I'm new to this streaming profession. Is it possible to get better mixes using stock plugins of Reaper, or is it essential to have third-party plugins at the beginning of the career? At the beginning of mixing, you don't need anything. You can mix entirely with stock plugins if you so choose. I'm at that level, I guess, where things like these saturators and SSL-style EQs, etc., they help me get my work done more quickly, more efficiently, in a way that I imagine in my mind, based on some of the work that I've done in analog recording studios or in other places where there are certain sounds that appeal to me, and that's kind of 15 years down the line. Definitely don't need to do that. Yeah. All right, everybody. No need to do Pro Tools bashing in the chat. It is a perfectly valid form of DAW, and it works for a lot of people. So we're not going to go overly crazy on it. Now, this 2 shots. Let's have a listen to these shots. What do we have? Right, so I want to take the sub out of that by turning on the high pass filter, because I want to add a lot of low end to that. There. And I want it to sound further away, so I'm going to use a low pass filter and probably start around 7-8K. Lower. There we go. So without this, it sounds like this, which is a little bit tinny, a little bit. Now it sounds huge. So let's mix that in with the drone bass. It might be a little too much on the low end, but we'll see. Yeah, let's turn that down a bit. Not much, just a bit. And just pan it a little, just a little. Just so it comes from one side. There's still a bit of something in that drone bass I'm not a fan of. Just going to use the stock EQ just to prove the point. There. There we go. That'll just get it out of the way of all the vocals. In context, it won't sound much different, but in the mix, that's made space in that 1K region for all the vocal stuff. Ooh, I like. Lots of delay, please. Not so much of the high pass on this one, just copied that across. But I'm taking a lot of low end out of this one. Give it a bit of a poke. And then lower it down. Pan this one the other way. Turn you up. There we go. This has got a bit more of a vintage vibe so far. Okay, that's got a lot of distortion going on that sub drop. Might just need to turn it up a little. Oh, no, not selecting everything, just you. Cool. That definitely needs to go to the room reverb and to the delay, not nearly that much of it. And it sounds too distorted. I'm going to have to use an EQ to try and remove a little bit of that in the kind of, I don't know, 5K region. Let's find it. Oh, actually, that did the trick, just bringing that section out. There we go. That'll make it feel louder. Oh, too much, too much, too much. But let's just open that EQ band up. Yeah, so we're going to just mute everything. These two sub drops I'm going to deal with now as effects later on in the song. So, yeah, we're starting to build an atmosphere now. What's this? Cool. So we're just probably going to end up mixing this essentially like it was on an SSL board. The damage doesn't need subs because there are other elements in here that have the subs and it's just going to get messy. There we go. So I've used a bell EQ here on the damage drums to bring out a certain frequency in the lows, but not just one that goes one a little bit higher up that goes dum 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 dum. Not completely isolated, but you'll hear it. There we go. I've just taken a little bit out at 320 hertz, where it was just a bit wob in the bottom there. Let's just volume match this with everything else. Yeah, this is very Bear McCreary to me. Bear McCreary, if you don't know him, was the guy who did the soundtrack for Battlestar Galactica, the modern version. And yeah, Bear McCreary's awesome. This needs all the reverb and delay on the horns, because this is going to need some judicious EQing to make it sit properly. So I'm going to need to take out a lot of lows, a lot of highs. And even before I hear it, I know that the 400 hertz region's going. Ah, there we go. Yeah, they're right up in there. I might add some compression on there just to bring them up around that swell. Yeah, this is getting a bit Mad Maxy. Oh, good question. Why am I using the faders in these? Am I? They're all at 0. But if I am using any of them, yeah, like that one, it's because I like to start the mix, and this is what I call the basic mix, with my actual Reaper faders roughly around the 0 point, because that means I've got much more latitude to move the automation within the mix if I need small details later, rather than having to have my faders down at -10 or -20. But quite often I want the drive from the desk going into the virtual desk, because it adds a certain character. Where if I turn that down or up, that will then affect the way that the compressor in that channel strip works. So sometimes, like, you'll see me push up the threshold on the compressor, then that has a makeup gain in there. So what I'll do is I'll turn down the channel strip to compensate for that makeup gain, because quite often I actually didn't want that makeup gain. But that depends on what I'm doing. So let's get to here where the next elements come in. Yeah, so this is cool. This is definitely going to need the 9000 on there. I can already hear that this needs all its low end just removing for a start. There we go. So I just took that to the highest frequency I could while still hearing that chung, chung, chung. And now some low pass to get rid of. I'm going to play the end of the song. I can see from the colours that it gets really scratchy. And scratchy, especially on virtual strings, means fake sounding. You want strings to sound real? Take all the top end off them and cover them in reverb. There we go. That already sounds much closer to realistic. Room reverb, plate reverb. Yeah, massive difference.
There we go. That's not something you tend to do in classical recording, because in classical recording, they tend to use ribbon mics a lot, which already do that. They have the high frequency roll off. So you get that magical softness. And it's just from using ribbon mics, and we can emulate ribbon mics by just taking the top off. Not just an ugly face. Hey. Let's listen to the solo violin. Solo violin. If in doubt, cake a violin in plate reverb and room reverb and watch it dance. There we go. The texture beam messes a bit. It's fine. So I've just copied exactly the same channel strip over from the main strings to the violin. Might bring a bit of the high end back for the violin. Not all of it. I'll probably stop around 10k. Let's just listen. Yeah, that 10k band limiting. Let's listen to that. Cool. Right, onto this voices group. Oh, yes. On this one, I'm actually going to boost the top end a tiny little bit, and just take some of this kind of vocally and just push that. There we go. Just by pushing that, and then I'm just going to add loads of plate reverb and delay onto that. That's going to sound huge in the mix. That's what we want. From subdrop 1 to 2, 3 and see if that does what we need. Right, that needs a lot less room reverb. No delay. That needs to be driven. That needs some distortion. Yeah, let's hear that driven. That needs some push on some more vocal frequency so we hear it.
There we go. Taking the top end off that last sub drop makes it actually sound bigger, because it's psychoacoustic. The further away something is, the more muffled it sounds. So if you got an explosion, it sounds more muffled but really bassy. It must have been really far away by the way psychoacoustics work. That's awesome. And that's the guitars on the way out. Yeah, I like it. Right, so let's listen to this from the top without the vocals before we start adding le vocal. Yeah, I think we got ourselves some sort of orchestrated scene going. Now let's just delete the John stuff here, because it seems like it's all Alexa, but let's just drop in the verse vocals and see what we get. Separate tracks. Yeah, bar 5 is definitely where I dropped everything.
Excuse me. Let's see what we get from here. Because this is all using the vocal setup from the previous. So the verse should be there. I might drop that on the double there. All right, they just need chop. Oh no, wrong button. They need chopping up. I've got the dynamic split window open on another thing there. So that can go because that's empty. That can go because that's empty. My soul can go because it is empty. Let's see what we get from here.
You can hold my soul, bend the light in time, a power to move on.
That might be a bit much delay, you know. And also it sounds a bit radio effecty. Let's just listen to this on its own, see what we have.
You can hold my soul, bend the light in time, a power to move on, now and forever.
Right there, that's why.
As the sirens sing, I'm anchored by your side. I'm anchored by your side. Moving to.
Yeah, no breaths, thanks. I can see one there.
Oh,
Opera singers, nah. They,
beneath coast, one less perfect. You can hold my soul, bend the light in time, a power to move on, now and forever. As the sirens sing, I'm anchored by your side, moving to a melody all together. When the sea is calls, one last perfect song, guiding light that shows us now and forever. Right into the horizon, feel the pain escape. A new world that we're facing binds us together. A power to move on, now and forever.
this is sounding pretty epic. Let's move this up, get rid of this rubbish, rename this verse ad lib. Yeah, so that's an LA2A again, that's fine. Don't need a de-esser on that because I've already got soothe going on. Don't need soothe on there. Don't need a radio effect going on, but I do want micro shift on this lower one because that'll sound nice. Let's try style 2. It's a little funkier.
A power to time, a power to move
Got just extra noise in the background, yeah, where the files are overlapped. Okay. So I've got a few breaths to clean out, but it seems like these are, yeah, the harmonies. I like it.
A power to move on now and forever. As the sirens sing, I'm anchored by your side, moving to a melody all together. When the zenith calls, one last perfect song, guiding light that shows us now and forever. Right into the horizon, feel the pain escape. A new world that we're facing binds us together. Right into the horizon, feel the pain escape.
There we go.
A new world that we're facing binds us together.
So that big there is just me adding a bit of low end before the compressor on the second vocal so that it really stands out.
While the tide runs wild, we shine a light forgiving. While the dark goes cold, we carry on.
There we go. Just making sure there's a bit less compression on the lead vocal there because it sounds like it's losing itself when she belts.
When the zenith calls, one last perfect sounds, one last perfect song, guiding light that shows us now and forever. Right into the horizon, feel the pain escape. A new world that we're facing binds us together.
Good stuff. Sorry to stop it there. The chorus has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 vocals in it. And then we are good. Okay, so I'm going to delete the backing vocals entirely. Call this chorus harmony. And let's just see what happens when we drop all these in. Because this is going to be interesting. And I'll come back to the lower ones in just a minute. Right, so the choruses are over there. Gotcha. For a first attempt at writing epic music, I think that you've done all right here. Let's listen to this.
We carry on. We carry on. We carry on. We carry on. We carry
to delete all the mix racks on these and see if they breathe better with less compression.
We carry on. We carry on. We carry on. We carry on.
I say less compression. They've got no compression at all, and that works, and that's fine with me. No complaints here. Oh, might need some compression on the harmonies.
We carry on. We carry on.
Just move that over.
We carry
Yeah, so no micro shift on the chorus, but there is micro shift on the harmony. This is triple tracked, so I'm just leaving it as is this time.
on. We carry on. We carry on. We carry on. We carry on.
Right, I'm just going to duplicate the harmony folder. I don't need the middle one of those, but I do need to add in the low. La 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 la. Yeah 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 yeah. Ha ha ha. Right, this is exactly where I thought it would be. And this is another one of those where it's going to need an interesting EQ profile. So let's just... Right, so I'm just going to move this, hard pan these left, right. That's a point, yeah. And then all at low end, we'll have you back. Yes, please. No, I'm not taking the micro shift off, Marty. The micro shift isn't to do with being in tune. It's a stereo phasing thing that I like. It also adds a slightly unreal element that I think works here. I don't necessarily need this to be natural.
We carry on. 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 While the tide runs wild, we shine a light forgiven. While the dark goes cold, we carry on. Carry on. We carry on. We carry on together.
Let's just add a little bit of low end back into all the reverbs and delays for this song. It's an unusual thing for me, but that might just give the whole song just that bit more weight. Now let's listen to this from the beginning, now the elements are in, and see if anything stands out.
the sirens sing, I'm anchored by your side, moving to a melody all together. When the zenith calls, one last perfect song, guiding light that shows us now and forever. Right into the horizon, feel the pain escape. A new world that we're facing binds us together. We carry on. We carry on. We carry on. We carry on. While the tide runs wild, we shine a light forgiving. While the dark goes cold, we carry on. Carry on. We carry on. We carry on together.
Cool. So some of the changes I made there were I made sure I edited out the breaths on the verse vocals, brought up the chorus vocals, made the plate reverb itself longer and brighter. For this song, I felt like the plate reverb could be quite the feature rather than where in the other songs it kind of sits in the background a little, which is fine. I just wanted it to be a bit more open and in your face. So, yeah. Not a big fan of this plate. Let's try a different plate. That's the one. That's nice. Yeah, I like that. Let's see how that sounds in the mix.
And hold my soul. Bend the light in time. A power to move on. Now and forever.
Yeah, those two are really nice, but just actually a little bit loud. They're kind of killing everything else, so let's take them down a bit.
You can hold my soul. Bend the light in time. A power to move on. Now and forever. As the sirens sing, I'm anchored by your side,
Nice. Just gonna check this last chorus and see if it's hitting the bus compressor. There we go. Sorry about that, everybody. My what do you call it? The Powerline Ethernet thing decided to have a fit again. So I was asking the question about how do you determine between things and stuff on that. I'm still streaming, restream. There we go. Yeah, so how do you determine when to use plate reverb, spring reverb, or something else? It's pretty much all convolution if you're using it as a plugin. So the short answer is it's hard to say. You just have to get a feel for what works where. Whether I want to put something in my mind in a physical space or whether I want it to just sound shimmery and epic. If I want to use a spring reverb, that's usually when I've lost my damn mind. I usually don't want to use one of those unless I'm being very stylistic. The only real way to know for sure is study the history of music production and how it all came together, who used what when over the years, or buy my Audio Essentials course where I talk all about exactly what each type of reverb does, as well as delay and compression and EQ, and tell you why people use them, how they sound, and what they do. So yes, let's now listen to this song through one more time, and I think that is a perfect place to call the stream, because if that's all good, I have literally nothing more to work on tonight. That's great. Awesome. I might play around with the overall vocal level and a slight automation later on. I'll have to listen to it on a couple of systems to be sure. But yeah, that is a fantastic song. So let's just name that. And I think that is the perfect perfect time to stop speaking properly. Yes, now that I can speak properly, yes, I think that's time for the end of part 4. And I never did change the text that said part 3 throughout the entire thing, and nobody said. But I changed it at the very end, so there you go. Well. So I'm going to export these now, send these over to SkyeAsylum for judgment. I'm just going to check. This is going to get loud, everybody, if you want to cover your ears. I'm just going to check with Flatline at the end.
We carry on, carry on. We carry on. We carry on together.
Do I use Flatline as a limiter of sorts? Yes, that is exactly what it's for. It's a last line of defense. It's essentially a mastering clipper or mastering limiter, however you want to look at it. People go, oh, limiters and clippers aren't the same. In the context of a final brick wall on a master, they absolutely are the same thing. Because neither of them is allowing things to go beyond a certain threshold, which means that they are clipped at that point. Anyone who tells you otherwise is just trying to throw semantics around. So yes, there you go. I basically use it as a maker louder, so that when I send it to people, it sounds in the ballpark they're used to. And then when we come to the mastering stage, we take that away and then export separate mixes without any loudness, and then we go through a whole mastering process. But yeah, it's kind of a make loud sound good, so that when you compare it to other recordings, you've at least got a valid frame of reference for how it should sound. So yes, I'm going to render that out now. But thank you everybody for watching. It's been quite the productive evening. And so I think I'm back in my own studio again tomorrow to try and finish, finish the come on. Oh, thank you again to SkyeAsylum. I'm going to send these tracks over just after the stream. Yeah, I'm in my own studio to try and finish filming for the Celestian video tomorrow. Although Paul from Zilla is going to send me one of only 3 of the Celestian Hempback speakers that we know of in the world to borrow for a couple of days for this video. But yeah, thank you everybody. Hit the like button. I'll probably see you next week because I think I'll have plenty more of this to be getting on with. I'll see you on Riff Hard. I'll see you on here. I've got more videos planned and in the works. Thank you everybody. Blah 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 blah. Like, share and subscribe, all that stuff. Thanks everybody. I'll see you soon. Goodbye. Hey everyone, that might be the end of the video, but if you fancy carrying on this conversation, we have a Discord server. Link is in the description. We're also on Patreon, which is something you can really help us with. We also are on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Hot Pole Studios.